Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining us for the Hindy Project podcast. This is our first podcast. I'm joined with my good friend Zia Ali, who's also the reason we're doing this podcast. In this episode, we talk about all sorts of things, from why we're doing this podcast, to my recent trip to London, to the struggles of an average imam, to Hajj. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Here it is. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I guess the first question is, why are we here? Right?
Yeah. It's
why are we here?
The conversation. Well, okay. The conversation that you and I had like a few months ago, I guess, is basically I hit you up with a message. I hit up Yasin with a message that said, you've got to do a podcast. Like, there's got to be somebody that's actually, I think Yasin, it started with you and I. Like, we started talking about, there's got to be somebody. If somebody stepped up and was in that sphere where they were had a podcast with just a fly on the wall and having a conversation for Yasser Qadi, or for like somebody that's like big and popular, wouldn't that be great? Like, I've sat down so many times and overseas and over here, like with students of knowledge and shiuch and things like that, and those conversations that I had, are super valuable. They were amazing. Like, just to be sitting there with them is amazing. And they'd never talk like that, like, for a lecture or outside of that. Never.
I'll tell you how it started for me, because I was in Malaysia and I got back and I was super jet lagged and I had to give the khutbah. And that was the time when Donald Trump announced that they're going to move the Israeli embassy to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And I had nothing prepared, so obviously it's the only thing to talk about. So I got up, I gave the khutbah, and one of the rare times when you were there.
Oh, yeah.
I tend to study my crowd. So like, I know who's like missing. If somebody's sick one week, who's like a regular, I'll be like, okay, that guy's sick, I gotta call him.
Yeah.
He's not there. Somebody is like not regular who's there, like yourself. I was like, okay, Zia's here. And then that night you sent me the text message and you're like, you have to start a podcast.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I was talking to some other shiuch in Toronto about doing something different. Not really a podcast. We were talking about doing like, basically in the Arab world, there had been like a TV show where a bunch of famous sheikhs would sit down together and they're just like have coffee and they're just talking. And
I think I've seen that.
Yeah. One of them will like joke around.
It's like NBC sort of thing.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. And we were talking about like, what if we did something similar? We just got a bunch of shiuch and we do a video and we all just like talk and joke and people just kind of get to see that side of us. But then when you talked to me about the podcast, I started to think about it a bit more, because when you do that like TV kind of ordeal, you end up being scripted.
Yeah.
The editing for video is so detailed and takes so time consuming that
arduous.
Yeah, it's just, it makes that medium so much more difficult. So I didn't really know anything about podcasts. And I barely knew any. And then you told me about it and you started telling me to look at certain podcasts that are out there. So I started studying it a little bit. And I thought, this is a really good idea. Particularly, like you said, there's so many scholars, so many shiuch, so many students of knowledge, and they have this other side of them, which is so entertaining and educational.
Yeah.
And people connect on it on a much deeper level, I think.
Absolutely.
And you don't get that when all you see is them at a conference, standing on a podium, giving a lecture. That's like a different side of you. People tell me all the time, the Ibrahim who's giving a khutbah is completely different than the other Ibrahim. I don't know if that's like a diss or something.
It's true. People don't know exactly who you are. You're a funny guy. You like to have fun. You like sports. Like, they don't know that side of you. And it's not like you could convey that in a khutbah. You can't. There's certain amount of finger wagging and explanation that you have to do in a khutbah. It's given, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It has to happen, right?
It's a different medium. You almost have to become someone else when you're giving a talk, right? So,
absolutely.
But there's so much more introspection and learning that can just come out of just having a coffee with someone.
Yeah.
And so that's made me really open my eyes to this. And I think that there's a lot of interesting people, and particularly scholars and students of knowledge, but not limited only to, but people that we can just have coffee with and have some really important conversations with. And I think that's something that people really need to hear.
Yeah, they can be themselves. They don't have to necessarily edit what they have to say, or be worried about what people are saying. It's not that sort of thing. Yeah. You're in a different space, and they can actually just be themselves and give you straight answers.
Yeah,
where you couldn't normally get that in a lecture setting or a classroom setting or things like that. The places that you normally catch this issue, right?
The other thing is that when you're giving a talk, you need to talk about the things you're sure about, right?
Yes.
So like you got to be like, I know this, and this is haram, and this is halal, and this is this, and this is that. Mm-hmm. And people are expecting your like level of certainty on everything that you say. But I feel like with the podcast setting, you can actually start talking about things you're not sure about. And be like, I've been thinking about this and I'm not sure about it, but this is kind of a thought going in my head and maybe I'm wrong about it. Yeah. And kind of having that kind of discussion that people can open up and put ideas out there that in a non-threatening way, and that people who are listening are really invested in it and understand, okay, even though Sheikh so-and-so is saying this, it doesn't mean that he's 100% certain about it. This is a different medium in which he's exploring this topic.
Yeah.
It's something for everyone to think about.
It's what you say on this medium is not taken as a in stone statement. Mm-hmm. It's more of like a growing evolution of who you are.
Yeah.
Is what it is. It's like in one podcast, you may talk about a topic where, you feel a certain way about it. And then after some introspection, you think about it, you reflect on it. And that, towards the second or third or fourth, podcast, you look and you say, maybe I've changed my mind about certain things. Mm-hmm. And what's great is that having that medium, it gives you that opportunity to change your mind and to, grow. Yeah. To grow, it allows you to grow.
And that kind of ties into the name we chose for this podcast, which you chose. I'm blaming you for it.
More the wife. The wife endorsed it. I was at Hindy Project because I was thinking Mindy Project. This Hindy Project. And then the wife's like, that's great. That's just good.
It does roll off the tongue.
Indecent Proposal was also shot down. I'd like to throw that out there.
That one was not going to happen.
I'd like to throw that one out there.
Not going to happen.
I wish that was true.
I mean, so here's the thing. I was thinking about like more generic names.
Yeah.
As opposed to it being about me and it being my name, because everything that I've done in my life, whenever it's been about me, it's like, this is about me and promoting me and for me, then like the barakah is not there, like the blessing is not there, and it doesn't go as far. But whenever you do things that you're just like, I don't care about what it costs me or if it's good for me or if it's bad for me, but I'm doing this because I think it's good for other people.
Yeah.
Then that's the stuff that I always find like there's blessings in it. Even if it's something I think, man, I'm going to lose credibility for doing this. I'm going to lose like publicity for doing this, but I'm going to do it because I think it's right. That ends up being the thing that gives me more publicity or gives me more like credibility with people. So if you have the right intention, things go further. But the thing that you said about the name, like the Hindy Project, is that, you talked about the name kind of gives this idea that it's a project. It's a work in progress.
We are projects.
We're all exactly.
Not just you. We as human beings are projects.
Yeah.
Our whole life is a project. We're a constant work in progress. We're a book that hasn't been written. We're yet to be discovered. Mm-hmm. It's just, there's so much to us as human beings, and this whole concept of us as a project is just, we're trying to better ourselves, get to a better state every day, take that 1 inch forward that makes us better. Like take one step forward that makes us a better person, that makes us a better influence, that makes us a better father, a better brother, a better, everything that we do, and we try to grow. And so that growth and taking that journey with you is really what I think people should jump on board, especially you're still rather young. You're still in your 30s. Like, you're still rather young. I personally, I've known you for 15 years. I think maybe 10 years or more.
Yeah.
Even longer, at least. So I've seen you, I know, and I've hung out with you so many times. I know, I know who you are, and I know who that khutbah person, that person in the khutbah, person giving the khutbah is. It's just, people need an opportunity to just see that and explore that, and see that, what you look at things and you give an outlook on life in a certain way. And how you really, just the way you view life and your outlook on life on different topics. It just can't be explored in those mediums. This is the medium for you. You know?
I was thinking actually recently, a long time ago, when I was like 14, 15, and I'd just gone through like my my religious awakening, right? Like I just started to be religious, and like I was like, the religion was so serious for me and so real. And I just like, it's kind of like the first moment you taste iman, you taste like faith, and you think like, and you just throw yourself into the religion. But what tends to happen to everybody who just starts being religious is that everything's black and white.
Yeah.
And you become so certain about everything. And I remember someone at that time was telling me the quote from Muhammad Ali, where he's like, if I said at age 40 the same stuff I was saying at age 20, that I've wasted 20 years.
Yeah.
So they said someone told me that quote, and I was like, nope, I'm going to be the same person 20 years that I am today. I was so certain about everything. Like to me, everything was black and white, and this is what it is, and that's not what it is. And subhanAllah, it's been like probably around 20 years now, and I'm like, man,
there's so much gray.
I was so arrogant back then.
There is just so much gray.
And so much gray, and so many things have changed. And I think this is kind of a good medium for me to kind of explore, even within myself, the way that I've changed, the way that I've learned to be very introspective about myself, about how I understand the world, about how and it's one of the things that I discussed in the second episode, which is going to be released after this one, where I talked about having like introspection, even like Muslim people within the da'wah, right? The different groups that we have, the Salafi, Sufi, this group, even these groups need to be introspective about who they are and where they've come from and where they want to be. And that's an important discussion. Probably I'll explore in the future, but just having that moment to sit back and think about, the preconceptions that you have about the world, the way, the goggles that you're wearing when you're looking at the world.
Yeah.
Because most people don't do that. Most people don't even realize they're wearing goggles to begin with.
That's true.
And
That's true.
And it's really important to take time to kind of look deeper into the way that we're looking at everything.
True. That's why I think that even the people that you bring on to the podcast, my suggestion to you as well too, is that don't let it just be Muslims, right? Like that's the way I see it, or my biggest influence for this whole podcast concept is Joe Rogan, right? That's you know that the Joe Rogan podcast. I'm a huge fan. Yasin's a huge fan of that, right? And I listen to it all the time still. But my biggest beef, and this is what I told you when we were talking when Yasin and I were pitching you this whole concept, is that my biggest problem that I have with the Joe Rogan podcast is the fact that it doesn't come at anything from an Islamic perspective. He doesn't have like Muslim guests on, or anybody of a strong, positive, intellectual, like Muslim perspective on the podcast that can really dive into the topic of Islam, right? So he doesn't get that influence since he's kind of in that libertarian echo chamber to a certain degree, right? Like he branches out from many different topics, but that one topic in particular, and religion in particular, he doesn't really, delve into Islam, Christianity, Judaism. He doesn't really dip his toe in that.
I think this is going to be like
I'd love for
the opposite of that, because people are asking me, because I'm starting to talk to people about coming onto the show and stuff like that. Sure. And they're always like, well, what's it about? What's it about? And I'm kind of like, it's about everything. Just we're trying to look at it through an Islamic prism. Sure. Through a Muslim Canadian prism that we're going to be looking at it from. But there's no off limits. Like somebody wants to come here and talk about something random, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I see. When people ask me that, actually, what's it about? I get really like, I don't know if you remember Seinfeld, like George Costanza when he was pitching this the Jerry show. Like I get like, it's about nothing. Don't even say it's about something. It's about nothing. That's what this is. It's just a conversation. Don't even try to, we want to make it around this. It's not. Yeah. It's about nothing. And like, that's how I feel. Like, it's like, we're just going to talk and see where it goes. If it goes there, we'll go there. I'm not really, I mean, maybe you might in your mind have a guideline in terms of a few different topics you might want to talk about. But at the same time, just go with it. Just roll with it. Whatever comes up. And make that the conversation.
People need the security of like where the limits, what's the structure.
Here's the structure of it. Yeah.
I mean, I do think there's probably like 3 topics or 3 things that I'm going to be focusing on, but it's never limited to it. I mean, I think spirituality is really important.
Sure.
I think I'm going to be talking a lot probably about community development.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Muhammad Hashim would be great for that too, right?
Yeah. But like, from all perspectives, like,
just,
how the mosques are set up, how, imams are set up, how, the community views itself, how the community views its institutions, the trust that exists or doesn't exist between the community and between the institutions. All these things are really important things I want to talk about. And leadership, like the leadership of the Muslim community and the challenges and non-existence sometimes of it. Yeah. I think those are things that kind of like the main things I think we're going to be revolving around.
Sure. Sure.
But, not exclusive. And who knows, maybe after a few episodes, I'll be like, yeah, I'm done with that topic. I want to talk about something else.
Sure. You talk about other things too, right? You want to learn, you want to grow, right? Like Yassine wasn't into basketball when he started this podcast. Now he's a huge fan. Now he's a huge fan of basketball, right? He wasn't really into that much into MMA. Now he's a huge fan of MMA, right? So there's an NLP and all these other things, right? So that's the idea, the growth, right? Just growing in the direction that you kind of want to cultivate it in, right?
For sure.
So that's the idea. That's the concept. Yeah.
There's another thing. I'm just going to jump in real quick. One other aspect I'm kind of looking forward to is a lot of times when we see someone who's defending Islam, it happens in the setting of a news type thing. So you have like a screen and it's split in 3 in 3 little windows. So you got 3 little heads and they're all talking over each other and everyone's trying to hit the 1 point or 2 or 2 points. And it really, you don't get a chance for you to hear the other person talk and then listen to it. And then, okay, I'm going to address point A, B, and C. And then actually get a meaningful conversation out of that. So a lot of times you watch, you see, and you're like, well, yeah, but he didn't talk about this thing, or he could have approached it from that point of view. But you only get so much time. Where with regards to a podcast, because it's this long form conversation, it will allow you to be able to talk to people who perhaps have opposing views of Islam. You might be able to have them on the podcast, and then still be able to have a good, like a good meaningful conversation with these types of people. And I think that's important too, because like a lot of times, there might be on one side people are having conversations, and it eliminates the whole echo chamber thing.
Yes.
Right. Where you can say like, okay, we don't agree on each other on these views, but come in, let's talk about it. We might walk away still not agreeing, but at the same time, people got to hear the conversation and were able to make their own judgments or like decisions based on that. I think I'm excited about that for the podcast as well. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just getting back to what Yassine was saying about the talking heads, when that talking head does get an opportunity to speak up, they're speaking outside the echo chamber for the first time. Yeah. And those very few times that we get a chance to talk outside the echo chamber, you're not really, making a dent. So it's time that we made a dent is really what it is.
So I've done a bunch of those like media interviews kind of things before. And what you have to do is that you're getting like such limited amount of time. And especially if they come in, they're like doing like maybe like a segment for like 5 o'clock news or 6 o'clock news. They're like taping you for like 20 minutes. You're only going to be on the air for like 20 seconds. And what ends up happening is that what I tell people and what I've learned through trial and error myself is that come up with 1 or a maximum 2 points that you think is really important to tell. And all you do is every question they ask you, you basically repeat those 2 points in different ways. And I tell this to people, and sometimes they're like, well, then you sound like an idiot because they're asking you this completely like irrelevant question to what you're saying, but you somehow loop it back to what you're saying. I was like, yeah, but they're just going to cut that 10-second clip in the end of it, right? So you just keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over to make sure that the audience hears that 1 or 2 most important thing that you want to say. But like you said, you're really not feeding the appetite of people who want something more substantive through that medium. No. And you're right. The majority of the people who are defending Islam are on those like see it if they get on CNN or if they get on, CBC or they got whatever medium they're on, and you're just getting those quick quotes, and it's just a quick quote and that's it. You don't get anything further than that.
No.
So, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put some blessing in this, and hopefully people can benefit from it.
I mean,
and we don't screw up too badly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, try our best to do well with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the idea. That's the idea.
So I was in London last week.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
how was your trip?
so I jumped the gun and I started recording a podcast, quote unquote. It'll be this second episode with Hamza Tsortis.
Cool.
I think
That's how you say his name, right? Tortoise? Like
I don't know.
like
We had a whole
tortoise?
conversation about
Or
that.
Zordis. I've
think
always
it's
thought it was
Tzortis.
like Tzortis.
Zortis, something like that. I don't
Zortis,
know.
because he's
I
Greek.
tried my best.
Is
He
he
is Greek.
He's
Yeah.
Greek, right? Yeah.
So
Zortis,
it was a
okay.
very interesting conversation.
He's
And,
he's a amazing individual, eh? I'd say.
Yeah.
He's very unique.
He's
Like,
very interesting. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And the conversation is really powerful.
I've listened to a lot of his stuff online and whatnot over the years.
Yeah.
He's
Someone who's
awesome.
changed so much. Like
He's awesome.
you could see like the arc of his change from when he started giving da'wah to where he is right now. And
Yeah.
and he talks about that a lot. So check out that conversation.
He's very
inshallah.
methodical in his process. Like you got to
Yeah.
sit in on one of his classes, right? Like
So what happened was essentially a group of imams, mostly from the GTA, but some around Canada. We got invited by IERA to go do a training over there.
is it IERA or is it IRA?
It's IERA.
Oh, okay.
I think it's supposed to be like IERA.
IERA. I always
yeah.
thought because it was like the UK. Like it was like
They say everything
Irish,
different
like
over there.
Irish. It was like IRA. Like that's what I thought it was. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. You were saying?
So they were doing like a training. They do these seminar trainings.
Okay.
So we decided to go, which was really cool. I mean, for a lot of these imams, they've been working in mosques for like 15, 20 years. That was the first time they really did like serious professional development training.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one guy was like,
I assumed that you guys get to do stuff like that all the time.
no, not really.
Really?
After that, we've been talking about it like crazy. We're like, you know what? Next time we should do one on counseling. Get like a serious counselor to give us like a weekend of like training on how to counsel people who
Sure.
are going through difficulties. Because
Sure.
it's crazy. Like to think about it. Some like most imams finish, their bachelor's in Islamic sciences.
Yeah.
You're basically studying theology for 4 years, and then you get your job at a mosque to be an imam. And then the first thing you deal with is like a couple who've been married for like 15 years for going through like a really difficult patch. And it's like, go ahead, counsel them.
Yeah.
And you're like, I've been studying theology. What does that have to do with this? And people expect you to be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
And they just go through like this trial and error period of like messing up while they're counseling for like 5 years until they figure out something, okay, this works and this doesn't work. But they don't have any like actual training on dealing with it. And
Yeah.
they're thrown into so many situations they're not trained for.
Do you remember the first time that you were thrown into a mess up situation?
Lots.
Yeah, the first time, like, because this stint that you were at, like Dar Tawheed, this was your first real stint as an imam, no?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was.
because prior to that, you were working in HR.
Yeah.
Okay,
In the corporate world.
In the corporate world,
Yeah.
were you at Walmart?
No.
No, okay, sorry, you were something else. All right, my brother mentioned that to me. I didn't even know that actually. He was like, "Oh, he's my HR buddy," so that's cool. I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
like, that's
I
why
think I
you like
messaged him back when I was working.
Yeah.
we had a
You guys were
conversation.
working. He's working in HR.
Yeah.
So, prior to that, so you're now full time imam. So, do you remember encountering a first time situation where you're like, "Well, this is really messed up," without obviously divulging? Any
Yeah. This is the
extra
problem is
information?
that like, because you have to be discreet about all these situations. I can't go into too many details.
No,
but-
don't.
Yeah,
but
but
can you give
yeah,
us?
you get thrown
an
into,
outline?
like,
Can you
these-
give us an outline of a situation without giving any details?
See, I don't know how to do that. Like,
You gotta
I'm
tiptoe.
afraid.
You gotta
I'm afraid
walk-
just open the faucet and it's just all gonna come
we
out.
have editing capabilities.
We'll cut what we can't use.
Yeah, but we can't use. We'll cut. Don't worry.
No, I mean, like I don't. You're just dealing with like these situations, and
Where's the
sometimes,
first time that you're like, "This is, I'm in over my head. Like this is a lot. I don't know what I'm doing." Or like anything. We all get to that stage
Yeah.
where we're like, "This is very overwhelming."
definitely the first time you're just like, I have no idea what to do right now. I have zero clue.
Yeah.
and you're kind of like, you're like, are they actually going to take any word that I say seriously to begin with?
Really?
Because you feel like, I don't know. Like,
So, all right, let me lay it out.
Yeah.
So, without you having to lay it out, because this is in my mind, this is the way I'm seeing it. It's like a couple, they're fighting. It's like, they're looking to reconcile, but they want you to be the mediator. So they come to you for that? They came to you for that?
It's never usually like that. Like it's rarely that both sides are like, hey, we want a mediator. It's usually one side is like, hey, get involved. Please, I need your help.
Oh.
And then they drag the other person there.
So, okay, here's a question for you then. Who's the majority on that side? Who's the majority that reaches out to you? Is it the females that come to you or is it the males?
No, it's pretty split.
You get a split?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At
Okay.
least for me.
Yeah.
I'm not the most experienced at this. But
No, I mean, you still get it. You have a community to handle too, right?
But that was one of the things that recently I was just really thinking about was that if the majority of your week is tied up in counseling these sessions, and like I've seen from my father's experience, like he will be sometimes dealing with 20 different cases at a time.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I know like I've spoken to other imams in GTA who are like at bigger mosques and same thing, like 20, sometimes 30 different cases at one time.
Can I mention who your dad is?
Yeah.
This is like common knowledge. Yeah, so you know who his pops is, right? His pops is like the
powerhouse.
He's the legend, right? Imam Hindy from Salahuddin. Is he still the imam over there? From Salahuddin?
Yeah.
So he makes that drive over from Mississauga to Scarborough still? To this
Not
day?
every day. Doesn't go every day.
Yeah.
But he still goes there.
That's
also,
great.
Also, according to my dad, an incredible defenseman in soccer. He's
Yes.
a beast.
Is he good?
Yeah, my dad was part of Muslim Soccer League, and he would always say, "Brother Hindy he's a beast."
He just has no regard for his body. Like he'll just like slide tackle like there's no tomorrow.
Is that right?
Constantly.
I can't imagine him doing
We
it.
went to like a charity imam soccer game recently. I think they did it. It was a Cam D, I think, who held it. And the first thing they said, it was indoors, it was a smaller field, and they were like, no slide tackles. And he was like, what? That's the only tool in my toolbox. Like, what am I supposed to do right now? They're like, come on, like we're just old guys running around.
No slide tackle. Really?
He's the oldest and he wants to like, yeah.
Wow.
Just like,
That's
no quit.
hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I forgot. I lost
What
my
were we
train of
talking about?
thought.
What were we talking about? Yeah, so you got to
but
bring us on
so
track.
the thing that I was really thinking about was like you're dealing with all these different cases,
Yeah.
and a lot of them are really messed up.
Yeah, you're saying your father had 20 different cases.
Like
all at
he
once.
might be, he would be dealing with like 20 different cases. I've spoken to other imams and shuyukh, particularly the ones in bigger mosques and who've been in the community longer. Same thing. All of them are dealing with like 20, 30 cases. This is like the majority of your week is being held in that stuff. And, people want to complain about their imam or their sheikh is like always talking about like fire and brimstone and haram.
Yeah.
But you don't realize that they're exposed 90% of the time to really messed up
the
stuff.
worst stuff in
the
the
worst
community.
possible stuff. So then they start to think that like the whole community is also exposed to this stuff.
Yeah.
So then they're kind of talking from that perspective, and they don't realize that everyone else is just like has no idea of why they're being so like fire and brimstone and like yelling at everyone.
Wow. I never thought of it like that because you
Yeah.
always think that police officers are messed up because of all the stuff that they're exposed to.
Yeah.
Like they're exposed to the worst people of society
Yeah.
on a daily basis. And so it messes with their psychology, right?
It does, yeah.
And so it has an influence on them, it has influence on their family, right? Like a lot of times, I know it might be a stereotype, but they say that the police officers, they beat their wives all the time, right?
Yeah.
No, and some of the times it's true, right? Because of the fact that they're so exposed to so many messed up things.
Yeah.
On
And that's
a
the thing.
regular
Like
basis,
we were talking
right?
to the imams about it, and I was like, I asked them, how many of you guys tell your wives about
Yeah.
the cases you see?
Yeah.
And almost all of them said they do.
Really?
And I was like, but doesn't that create like crazy problems at home? They're like, yeah. I was like, yeah, that's why the first
gotta get
day
it out, eh?
I had like this intuition from the first day. I was like, I'm not telling my wife a single thing. Like, first of all, it's not fair to her because then like, I'm bound by confidentiality.
Sure.
She isn't,
Yeah.
right? So if I tell her that's not fair because I'm like now making her bound by
She's an
confidentiality and
accomplice.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then like it messes with your head. So if
Yeah.
my head's getting messed up with it. I don't need her head to be messed up by thinking about it too.
You see, this is perfect. This is exactly why my wife is a social worker. So I tell her I don't want to hear anything about her workday and it's not because I don't actually want to hear anything about her workday. It's because sorry, Yassi. So it's because of the fact that
stuff's messed up.
The stuff that she deals with is messed up. Like people dying left and right.
Yeah.
Like I'm like I what's happy about what you do? I don't see it. So please don't tell me about that. Let's talk about other stuff, right? Like that's where I come from.
Yeah.
So really, I'm right and she's wrong.
But the problem is
what you're trying to get at. That's
no. But the problem is that when you're hearing all this stuff,
it bums me out.
It's like a transference of emotion, right?
Yes.
So they're complaining to you. You're thinking about their problems. You've just inherited all their emotions.
Yeah.
And then you feel like you're carrying like loads and loads of emotional baggage. So you want to let it out. And that's the problem is they come home, they want to let it out to their spouses because they're carrying it and they need to get, have an outlet somewhere.
Yeah.
But it can cause problems in the homes as well. And so that's why I was telling the imams as we were like traveling, I was like, we need to have time to just sit with each other and talk to each other. And
that's great.
Like, let it out to each other. And Sheikh Hayat was talking about how like when Sheikh Abdullah Idris came to ISNA, like he was like, then I started to complain to him about stuff that I would see. He would complain to me, and they felt so much better. And because there's two of them now working at the same place, so they're able to talk to each other. But most imams are isolated, and it's a really difficult situation.
That's something you should bring up with maybe Imam Slimi. I don't know if you deal with him at all because he has that. He's heavily involved with the councils.
Imam council, yeah, I go sometimes.
Do you get involved with those guys?
I go to some meetings. I'm technically a member.
Oh, is it like the Council of Ricks? Like you don't really want to get... Do you watch Rick and Morty at all?
I don't know. I know people are like crazy fans.
Do you know the reference? Though?
I know the reference. I tried to watch a couple episodes.
So it's like the Council of Ricks is like the Council of Imams. That's what I'm thinking of. Like that's what I think of when I think of that Toronto Council of Imams. Not a really big fan. I don't know if like you can tell from my inflection, but it's like the council.
Wait, so explain it to me because I know that I'm aware of the show. I'm not aware of the reference.
So there's like there's your Rick. What's it? 1872. What's the Rick Yassine?
I'm on it.
So there's Rick. There's the normal Rick that's right in the middle. So in the world of Rick and Morty, there are multiple timelines that are going on simultaneously. So they interact with one another. They have these portal guns that they can just jump into another universe and meet another Rick, like himself, and he would talk to him. So like they give each other all designations for all the different worlds. So he's the standard Rick that everyone's watching on Rick and Morty. His name is Rick 1872. I want to say.
No, it's Rick C-137.
Oh, C-137. Okay, so sorry, I don't know if that was sticking in my head. So C-137, right? So they're like, when they talk to each other, when a Rick talks to another Rick, he says he's like Rick C-137. That's how he'll call him C-137, and they'll have other designations for other worlds. So they created a place called the Council of Ricks, where it's a planet where all the Ricks go to and all the other universes, and they have like a council. They have like different versions of Rick. They have like Mortys that are there.
It's like a government.
It's a whole government in a world that exists with only Ricks and Mortys that live in it, right? But this one C-137 doesn't like it at all. So he stays completely away from that universe altogether. He hates it.
Are we saying that Ibrahim is C-137?
So I'm saying you're C-137. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what it's a long roundabout way of me saying you're that because you just stay away from that.
Assuming C-137, went to that universe with really good intentions.
He did.
Try to make things better.
Keep going.
Realized that it wasn't worth his time, and then just.
Well, actually, he realized
now we've said too much on this thing.
He realized it wasn't worth their time, and then he decided he wants to destroy it. So that's what happened. That's what happened. So there is that. That show is just so awesome. Anyway, yeah. That's my Rick and Morty reference for the episode.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things in my head is that whatever all these councils, organizations, none of them are actually serving like the pressing day-to-day needs, I think, that most imams and scholars are facing in their lives.
Yeah.
But it's good. I mean, because we went and we actually got time to like detach from our communities, travel overseas,
Yeah.
spend the whole day together every single day. We started bouncing ideas off each other, and
I'm surprised it doesn't
there's
happen
a lot
more
of good
often.
stuff.
I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often
needs
because
to.
it looked like it was really beneficial for you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was fun. I mean, it was a lot of work. We were like in class from like from 9 a.m. to like 7 p.m.
Oh, wow.
And
And then after that, just hanging out, having dinner.
after that, having dinner and all of that.
Even
and,
lunch too, right? You probably
We had lunch together, breakfast
and have lunch.
together,
Oh, that's
everything.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
We even like some of the local scholars came and visited us as well. So we had like sessions with them afterwards. And it was
Did
like,
you get to meet Wasim Kempson at all when you were there?
No.
Do you know who that is? That's
Heard
actually
of him.
if you ever get a chance, you're out in the UK. He is married to my cousin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he's my family.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I don't think he's in London. Is he in London?
Yeah, I think he's in like East London. I don't know.
East
I've
London.
never been there, so
Every Muslim's in East London.
yeah,
by the
something
way.
like that. He's somewhere in like there.
Apparently 1 in 8 people in London is Muslim.
Really?
It seems like all of them are in East London.
Oh man. Well, that's him, and he's married to my cousin, so he's like my cousin.
Ah, that's
So,
awesome.
he's
Next time,
awesome.
inshallah.
He's a great
Hit
guy.
him up,
He's a
inshallah.
great guy. Yeah, I got to meet him. I've only met him one time actually when he came here for a conference.
Hmm.
He came here for some sort of a Celtic conference
Oh, okay.
because he's involved with them. So
Yeah,
great guy.
that's really cool.
But
The halal food scene there, man, it's just
Legit?
amazing.
legit,
Amazing.
best thing you ate there.
There was this one Turkish place that we went to,
Ooh.
and they had like they keep this huge platter. I have a picture of it somewhere. This huge platter of food. There was like kebabs and this and that, and they had these like shavings of like lamb, which is like lamb shavings, and it was incredible.
Like gyro kind of.
kind of, yeah.
Ooh,
It
okay.
was like at the bottom of it and of this platter. It was just like the best thing ever. And then I was telling them, I was like, man, this is really good. This is better than probably, and I've tried a lot of the Turkish places in Toronto.
Yeah.
It's probably better than the best Turkish place in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, this isn't even like top 5 in London.
It just doesn't.
Wow.
I heard the food scene there is insane. Yeah,
Yeah. They're saying in London, it's like that. Once you get out of London, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's just like, because the competition and, the amount of people there. So like in order to, survive as a restaurant, you really have to be like top notch in your food. So,
Oh, really?
so there's like crazy competition between all these like different restaurants. So,
Yeah.
everything, the Indian place we ate at was amazing. The Afghani place was really good. And
Wow.
so there's a lot of options.
Gotta try this. I have to go.
You got to go now.
I have to go now. Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife
Before
always
that, I
talks
was like,
about it.
why would I even go to London? What's in London?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh, they have food.
No, the wife talks about it all the time. Talks about London all the time. Loves it. She's been
She's been.
to London. She's been to Paris. I
It's expensive, though.
Never heard the end of it. I never heard the end of it. I'm getting sick of it. Really. I actually want to hear bad things about London.
So now this is turning into like counseling session.
Is that what it's becoming?
That's
Just talking about
podcast is
just
going to
talking
be.
about the wife. That's what
Gonna
it
be
is.
full.
So the meat and bones of why we got together. This is all a cover for us to actually talk about exorcisms. So, do you guys, when you guys are reflecting on each other, do you ever talk about exorcisms at all? Do you ever talk about like, hey, did you go? How often do you encounter somebody that's like had a genuine situation where they've interaction with jinn? Being the imam, you probably would.
Yeah, but I don't
see
deal with
more.
them anymore. I like basically.
You given up on it? Like you refer it to
I
someone
just
else?
refer it.
What do you refer to?
I have a couple of contacts, and
Khalid bin Walid?
there's
Those guys are the specialists.
one brother out there, I think, near there.
They deal with it.
I have another brother in Scarborough as well. I just like refer.
Yeah. Why? Tell me what's your reason for it?
90% of the time, it's just I don't know,
Psychological.
psychological, or
Okay.
yeah,
So that 10% then
yeah.
you don't want to mess with. So it is.
I just think I don't have an expertise in it, so like why
You have your
even like
what? You have the Quran on your tongue. You can just blaps and just It's you.
No, but I think like
have
I think
to
you need to really understand like
Yeah.
human psychology, and then you need to really understand, what exactly jinn possession is, and you have to really understand what the effects of magic really are.
Yeah.
You have to understand those things really well, and you have to understand when there might be like a overlap between them. Like the person might have
A
a
psychological
psychological problem, but might also
coupled
have,
with magic.
yeah.
Oh, I never even considered that.
Yeah, and
Oh,
so I think a lot of people do it wrong too, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
They just think that they could just go and talk and or say some Quran or give some ruqyah and that's it.
Yeah.
And they're good. I think that.
Yeah. And I think
I'm not
also
gonna lie.
people, like a lot of people, and this is the thing that bothers me, is a lot of people just have like problems in their lives. And instead of taking personal responsibility, instead of trying to fix their problems, they're just like, yeah, I got magic. I got to do some magic, read some Quran to me, and then I'm going to be good. And that's the stuff I don't want to deal with. So
Yeah, no, that's not cool at all.
Yeah.
They ask you to do that. How often does that happen?
that's what I feel is the majority of the cases. Where I'm just
Or
like,
were they just like,
wait,
"Oh,
why do you
I'll
think
do some
you're?
magic?"
Why do you think you haven't? Why do you think someone's done magic for you?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I have problems with my wife. I'm like, so does everybody else in the world,
Yeah,
right? Like that doesn't mean anything.
That doesn't count.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Interesting. So Leafs are doing okay lately. They're on a little bit of a slide. So like since the break, I know you're a huge fan. I was into it big time with you around like, I say you and I were big fans in 2004, 2005, like when they were actually in contention in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Sundin
I
era.
never stopped.
Sundin
Yeah.
era. And you stopped. I kind of gave up after the lockout era.
Because my
I
wife
haven't
is
been
always
as big
asking
into
me,
it.
like, how can you cheer for a team that's been so consistently bad? Of course, they've been good the last couple of years. But
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the quality you should be looking for in a husband, right? So we just won't give up and has undying loyalty.
You know, as soon as you said that, and my mind didn't gravitate to that answer. It gravitated towards this is what you should be looking for in a husband, because, like, you know, even though you're so terrible, I put up with you all the time,
So you go
and
for
I'll
the
stick
diss.
with it, right? You were so much like the Leafs. Like, I will put up with you no matter what, and I'm not going anywhere, right? You know I'm loyal, so
Yeah.
no, that's where my mind goes to the jokes first. I always have to hit that joke. That's my problem. I have to hit the joke first, and then I come with the serious stuff after, right? With the wife, she doesn't like that too much. She doesn't like that too much. But yeah, no. But honestly, they've been okay. You're a Raptors fan too, a little bit.
Yeah,
or no?
a little bit.
Not as much as a Leafs fan though. You're a big hockey fan, and you
I'm a
play
big
hockey a lot.
fan, and I play hockey a lot.
Do you play?
And I ran a hockey league. So
Yeah. Well, did you start it? I saw.
I was one of the people who started it, and then I ran it for a long time.
Yeah,
and
you were
then
in it for a while.
now I
Why'd you give it up?
I don't have time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But are you playing it this season?
I'm playing this season. Well, technically, I'm playing. I played one game, and I'm missing. I missed the first week because I was traveling. I'm missing this coming week because I'm traveling.
What?
I'm going for Umrah later, so I'm missing pretty much the majority of the season.
Oh, wait, what the heck?
I don't know why I signed up.
Yeah, March too, right? Yeah, March is. Oh, are you going to go on March break? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, inshallah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, inshallah.
I'm really looking forward to it because I went for Hajj, and the problem with when I went for Hajj, I was the leader of the group. We had like 50 people, and there was so much stuff that happened. Like
what?
I don't know, man. Like things went wrong from the beginning. Like right off the start, you know, our tickets were supposed to be booked.
Wait, who'd you go with, first of all? Let's break it
So
down.
our own group.
You did it yourself?
We have our own group, yeah.
Oh, okay. What's it called?
Oh, the Tawheed Travel and Salahuddin Travel, both of them together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know you guys had your own group.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've had a group for a long time. So right off the bat, the tickets were supposed to be booked through Qatar Airlines, and then Saudi and Qatar had their little fight. So then no flights were allowed from Qatar.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Hajj was in when was it? September or something?
August.
August.
Yeah.
Right.
So they canceled all the plane tickets, and last minute we had to find plane tickets. It was with 2 stops, and then people got there like hours before their rooms were ready for check-in, right? So they were like exhausted. So right off the bat, there was that, and then just like it was basically my first time alone leading a group. So the amount of questions you get from people about like everything, because people, you know, you have to understand, I mean, people are paying their life savings to go for Hajj, and they want to make sure that every single thing is like halal and the right thing and the sunnah and everything. So they're asking people everything, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine, but like after a while, you start to wear down.
Overwhelming.
And then there's like other issues, like people come up to you like, I don't like my roommate. Somebody comes up to me like, I'm sick and I need like some help, and I need this, I need that. So you're just constantly like dealing with people's
Putting out
problems
fires.
and stuff. Yeah. And I never got like the time for ibadah for myself. Like just like constantly doing stuff.
Really?
Right?
I never
Barely
thought of
finished
that.
my own like rites for Hajj. even some stuff I had to sacrifice. Like when we got to Muzdalifah, one of the elderly people felt really sick.
Yeah.
So, it's sunnah to stay in Muzdalifah to pray Fajr in Muzdalifah. And the dua after Fajr is one of the most blessed times to make dua in Muzdalifah.
Sure.
But the person was sick. So I literally walked them. I pushed them on the wheelchair from Muzdalifah all the way to Mina, like an hour and a half, 2 hour walk to get them there. Yeah. So I missed that. But like you start doing these like sacrifices here and there. So like,
was that your first time doing Hajj?
No, it was my third time.
Oh, mashallah. Okay.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like when I compare it to the first two times I had so much more time. I used to go do tawaf like constantly while I was in Mecca.
More spiritually fulfilling.
Exactly. This time it was just like doing stuff for other people, which is great. Like you have to go in it with the intention that like you're helping other people do Hajj, so you'll get the reward of their Hajj. But it's really trying. And then of course while I was there was the whole Texas thing. Where they said I went to Texas.
Oh, right. That's nuts. I can't believe that. That was such a good. I think you're the one who posted on that. Like I'm not even in Canada. I'm not even anywhere near that.
And then that tweet went crazy. I got like,
yeah.
I think I still till now, majority of the time my Twitter goes off.
Yeah.
It's people liking that tweet.
How many likes did you have the last time you checked?
The likes, I don't know. The retweets is like over 200,000.
Oh my
on that
goodness.
one. Yeah.
Good gracious.
Like celebrities started retweeting.
Yeah, because what's her name? J.K. Rowling's, right?
J.K. Rowling retweeted it. She wasn't the only one. There was like Mark Ruffalo. Hulk.
Oh, wow.
He retweeted it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of people retweeted it.
Wow.
Yeah, and so then like all the like media started calling me while I was there.
Yeah.
And so that was like an added twist to the whole thing while I was there.
You had to answer a lot of the media calls and take calls and stuff on top of that.
Yeah. So I tried to as much as I could. Problems, all of them were like, okay, let's Skype interview.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Skype is blocked in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, well, that would make
either
sense.
It's blocked or like really slowed down.
Yeah, that would make sense. Though.
Yeah. So then I had to find like some alternate app in order to be able to talk with them. And it was like super complicated and stuff. But yeah.
So you're looking forward to Umrah.
I'm really looking forward to Umrah.
So that you can be satisfied.
Yeah, because Umrah is much like more chill and relaxed.
Are you leading it?
Again? I'm leading it still, but you take them to the Umrah, a couple hours you're done, and then you just get time to kind of relax. Give them a talk every day. That's fine. Yeah. But at least I'll have time for myself, time to like go to the masjid on my own, pray on my own, and stuff like that. Yeah. Didn't really get to do much of that. So I'm really looking forward to it. Also, my mom and sister are coming with me, so that's going to be really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. And I'm going to try to record a podcast while I'm there.
With them?
Maybe. There's also a lot of other speakers who are going to be there. Scholars who are going to be there. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Get it done.
I might grab some people and just sit down and have a coffee with them.
Get it done, man.
At the mall.
The first
at one of the 20 malls right outside the Kaaba.
Well, just when I mentioned this podcast to you, right? Like the 20 malls, the worst mall of all. By the way, what's your, oh my God, your thoughts?
I lost, you know what? Because I didn't go for like, I did Hajj twice.
When?
In the past. I don't even remember, but it's been like at least, actually the last time I did Hajj was right before I got married or got engaged. So
man,
about 9 years before.
Okay.
Yeah. So almost like 10-year difference.
2009? You got married?
2009.
When'd you get married? 2009?
I think got married 2010.
Did you?
Got engaged, I think, end of 2009.
Man, really? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that late.
Yeah, so I think I went to Hajj like end of 2009. I think it was like November at that time.
Okay. I went in 2008.
Oh, man. We just missed each other.
Yeah. I went with IIT that year.
IIT, okay.
Yeah. It was, the best experience of my life. But then I went then, and then I went 2014 with my wife and my son for Umrah. And that was a tough experience, but just doing it, being able to manage the kid and all that. But but yeah, the first thing I noticed was just the overwhelming amount of like malls like that.
So you saw the difference between the first time you went and that time?
It's insane. Like it's like that whole area, the clock tower, that place is nuts. We stayed in the clock tower. First of all, we stayed like the top floor, which was a terrible experience. It sounds like it's big and nice and beautiful, a beautiful experience. It was terrible.
Why?
The worst. just being
staying in the clock tower.
like staying in that clock tower was horrible. Like I didn't like being so high up. First of all, I didn't like. I was like 85 floors up or something, like some ridiculous.
Take forever to get down.
It took forever, and like your ears pop when you go up. You're so high. It's so high, right? And then you have to walk through 2 levels of mall to get out, just to get to see the courtyard of the masjid, right? Which is terrible. Then when I went for Hajj, we stayed in the Hilton, which was a beautiful experience. It was only like, I don't know, 20 floors or something like that. It's not even that big. It's like 3 interconnected hotels, or 3, right? The way that it's situated.
That's through a mall too, right?
The courtwood. It's through a mall, but like the way you can get out
faster. Yeah, I stayed at the Hilton before too.
Yeah, you know how you can get out by the parking lot and you just get out and you're in that the streetway, the walkway. Well, at least it used to exist. I don't know if it exists anymore. But there's you don't think it exists anymore, right? There used to be a walkway that where like street vendors would be on, and you could just walk right to the masjid. I would love that. Like that was beautiful. Like I used to enjoy it actually. But this time around, it's just commercialized, and it's like it wasn't the greatest. And even my wife was like, "This is what they did to the Holy Land." Like,
I had the same experience because I've been like 10-year difference, and you see it 10 years ago, and it was like there were malls there, but it wasn't like crazy.
It wasn't that bad.
And then this time you're just like, people are like, meet me at the mall. Like, which mall? There's like so many of them. Every building you go in the basement, and then you realize there's like 5 levels of malls in the basement of every building that you're in.
Yeah,
it was just something you can't even like comprehend.
And they're building more.
On
top of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a moneymaker. I mean,
I do like the fact that they're expanding though. They desperately need it.
But you know what? Like, okay, so in the past it would be like it's a real battle to get to the Black Stone, right? Like getting to the Black. I've never gone to the Black Stone because every time.
I've been twice.
Mashallah.
Well, I'm a big guy though.
No, but every time I wanted to, it'd be like there's so many people there, and I'm like, it's just not worth the effort. And like if I'm gonna push someone to get to it, then like I got to sin to get to it. It doesn't make sense. So it's like
but I don't push them, but I just body them.
I'm just thinking
it's different. It's not like actively with your arms out, but I'll just like
you just body check them.
It's right? Like not check them.
Shoulder.
That's the thing. I like the word like I like
shoulder on shoulder.
Yeah, like I like to use the term bodying. Like I will put my body here, and you will not put my body somewhere else. That's what it is, really. You know? But
every time I just kind of avoided it. But then this time, what was interesting was that it was a battle to get in position to see the Kaaba.
Yeah,
because
just to see it,
because of the amount of people who were there,
really?
And because of how they redirect traffic. Obviously, they're trying to keep like stampedes and stuff. They're trying to redirect traffic. So sometimes if you come like a little bit late or whatever, they've shut off, the closest access point to the Kaaba. So you got to go all the way around, right? And so you get in from some random door, and by the time you can even get to like the view of the Kaaba, they've already prayed, or like you got to go and pray. And so it's a battle just to see the Kaaba. And so as they add more people and as they keep expanding the masjid, you have to realize it's going to be harder and harder to do tawaf on the first level. It's going to be harder to see the Kaaba. Like those things are going to get like much more difficult.
Really? I never thought of it like that. I just thought of it like they need to accommodate the people. I guess I really took a very simplistic approach to it.
Yeah,
they need to
because for me,
people,
like,
and then
the level of khushu'ah you have when you're praying and you can see the Kaaba is like.
Can you look at the Kaaba when you're praying? Are you allowed to?
Well, you're gonna see it. It's right in front of
you. No. But like, I mean, when like how you normally look down for sujood, are you allowed to look up and look at it? There's some people that have that school. Like, I just throw it out there because I've seen people that do it.
Yeah.
And I don't really hear anything.
So nice to look, obviously, to your place of sujood, but if you look up for whatever reason, doesn't invalidate your prayer or anything.
Oh, okay.
That's how I was taught.
No, but it's a little different when you're there, though. Like you can't, like it's very mesmerizing. Like when you're, I don't know how close.
And then same thing when you're doing tawaf. Like I need to do tawaf on the first floor, like right in front of it, because
man, I like that
the
third
level
floor.
Of
I like that third floor right on the balcony. You could see it. Oh, this is like we're talking 2008 time. So for you it'd be 2009.
No, but even back then, man.
You didn't like the third floor?
No.
Oh, that third floor tawaf was great. You'd be able to see it right on your shoulder. You're good.
But you're so far away. It's like you're seeing it on a television. And you're
doing you get my tawaf in between the salah. I'm good.
But then your tawaf takes so long too.
It's true. It does take longer. Yeah. It's a good 20 to 30 minutes longer.
To
do it. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I learned that from my mother because first or second time I went for Hajj,
Yeah.
we came there. So we were leaving on the second day of Mina.
Uh-huh.
So we needed to go do our tawaf wada, and it was packed.
Yeah.
Like it took us hours just to get to Mecca.
Yeah.
It was packed. We got into the masjid and they had blocked off the first level. They're redirecting traffic.
They do third floor and then get
Second
out?
floor. You had to do second floor or third floor. First floor was blocked off. My mom, she's an expert pro. She did Hajj like 15 times or something, right? So she just went underneath their blockage thing, like they had like a line. She just went underneath it, went into the crowd, and I was like, no, we can't do it. It's they blocked it off. And so she went in, and then I had to go upstairs. So I went to the second level, and it was like crazy congested, and it took so long. Went up to the third level. Same thing. They had construction at the time, so like it was open. You're walking around fine, and then you get to this bottleneck. And it takes like hours, and you're getting pushed into the person in front of you, and the person behind you is pushing you, and you're just constantly getting pushed. And
It's the worst.
it was like terrible. And yeah, since then I was like, and then it took me literally 3 hours to do tawaf.
Oh, wow.
3+ hours. And then I went down, and my mom's like, yeah, I did it in 45 minutes. I was like, I'm sticking to the first floor for the rest of my life. I will stick to the first floor.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, that's I guess
because even if it's congested, it's just so small that like you're gonna get around pretty fast.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. True. Huh. Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
I feel like we're supposed to talk more about my London trip in this discussion.
No,
we
can.
Off into like
we
10
can.
different like,
oh man,
tangents.
It's where it goes, right? It's all where it goes. I have a crazy story before we get off of that topic about the Kaaba. Have you ever prayed inside the Kaaba or known anybody that's prayed inside the Kaaba?
My dad's been inside.
Did you get to pray Salah?
I think so. Yeah, obviously when you go inside, you.
Well, I mean, maybe he didn't get an opportunity. I don't know. Right? Oh yeah, but true. You're right.
Yeah,
if you get to go inside, you're probably praying 2 rak'ah, right?
But you need a level of VIP that I don't got
Oh.
to get in there.
Okay.
Someone's got to open it for you. I think actually he got in like just on luck.
Really?
Like
not even
they had
from
opened it at
influence.
that time, and he just happened to be inside.
Wow.
And then there's like.
So I have a cousin of mine. I have a cousin of mine from Trinidad. So they have their Quran competition in Saudi Arabia, where they take people from different nations and they compete. So my cousin won for Trinidad and Tobago. So he represented Trinidad, and he went to Saudi Arabia. This is my cousin who's roughly around my age. My cousin Ansari, and so. He went as a teenager, right? So like, I think he was around 16 or so. So he goes there, and then when there was this one time where they brought all of the kids that were competing in the competition to the Kaaba, and they opened the doors and allowed them to go in and pray Salah, right? So when they open the door and they go in, the way his mind works is like, I'm going to go into the farthest corner, right? Because they only want you to pray 2 rak'ah, pray, and then come out, because they can't accommodate all the people all at once. It's like how many different nations that are coming all at once, right? So he went to the farthest corner, right? So that he could pray multiple salah that's in that corner. So because you can pray in any direction, you can do whatever you want. So you got to pray in that corner, like multiple salah, while everyone's kind of doing their thing and running their own game.
Wow.
So that was
Smart.
that was him, smart guy. So alhamdulillah. Yeah, I'd love to actually go and actually pray in the Kaaba, but I've never even prayed in the semicircle. I can't even imagine do it with the amount of crowds that they have nowadays, being able to do that now.
You have to go at the right time.
Yeah. You have to like stand there and wait for Salah to start before you can.
I think like an hour after Isha prayer is sometimes the best time.
And they clear out for people to pray?
They don't clear it out. What happens is people pray Isha, some people stay, do Tawaf as well, stuff like that. Then everybody starts to leave to go for dinner around that time. And you find like the numbers start to thin out.
Oh.
Yeah. Or if you go early, a few hours before Fajr, sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. I had a situation too where, like, do you ever go sightseeing around the Kaaba, and like, have you ever had anybody show you any of the particulars? Like, okay, here's where so and so's house was, or here's where this was or that was. Have you ever had any of those
in
situations?
Mecca?
In Mecca, in the Haram itself,
The Haram,
like,
yeah, a little bit.
unofficial,
yeah.
because you can't do it. They don't like it. Apparently, they frown upon it. So
Yeah.
what
In Medina, it's a lot easier.
Oh yeah. For sure, they do it on the
They
regular.
have markings in a lot of places, like it's the well of so and so.
What's his what's his name? Hisham or Hashim?
Hasib Nur?
Hasib Nur. That's
Yeah.
it. Hasib Nur. He does those tours. He's famous for that, right? Because he's got that YouTube the YouTube channel as well too. I think that does it. Yeah, I had one from him actually in 2014. He's awesome. Very, very amazing, detailed, amazing. Like you're standing in this spot, you're looking at the moon that the Prophet ﷺ looked at. Like it's just things that you're not really realizing.
Yeah.
Like he's like hitting you with, and it's really, really deep.
For sure.
In detail. And
that's the whole experience of Hajj, really. I mean, that last point.
Yeah.
The Prophet, some hadith, he talks about how Musa came and how Ibrahim came and how like literally all the prophets came to Mecca for Hajj. And so you're literally walking in the footsteps of the prophets. And that's the one thing you have to keep in your mind.
In Medina or Mecca?
For the
Mecca, Hajj rituals.
For the Hajj rituals.
Oh.
You have to realize you're literally walking the steps of all the prophets.
Wow.
And that's what's really important about Hajj, is that it's this reminder that, you know, this is the tradition of your forefathers. This is the tradition of our spiritual fathers, which is all the prophets, and that you're literally walking their footsteps.
You ever think about like all the ancestors of your own, really, that you're walking in their footsteps of?
Yeah.
My grandfather, you know, both my grandparents on both sides, like walking and doing this, performing this, well before there were signs in English and things like that. Mm-hmm. My grandfather is from Trinidad, and I think they took a boat there.
Wow!
It took when you used to go from Hajj from Trinidad to, you know, Saudi Arabia, you'd have to go on a boat. It would take the whole round trip was like 2 or 3 months.
Wow!
And when they would go, you would kiss everybody goodbye, like they were going to die.
Yeah.
They're going to die, right?
Yeah.
Like there's if they come back, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like they went, and when they were there, I remember I heard my parents talk about this story that my grandfather got lost. Like he got split up from his group. Wow. And he got lost. And imagine like even now,
even now it's crazy.
You get lost now, but back in those days, there's no markings. He doesn't speak Arabic. Yeah. He's only he can speak Urdu and he can speak English. So for him, he just sat down and started making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then like somehow miraculously someone took him and brought him back to his place that he was staying. Like I don't think they had hotels then.
Yeah.
I don't know like how he really managed to find his way back, but it took several hours, and they thought he was lost and dead for sure, and he thought he was going to die. That's it.
Wow.
Right. That's how dire the situation was. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I got like, when I think about that, like we could talk about Hajj stories for days.
Yeah.
You just mentioned the Muzdalifah story, and we got tested. Like that was our moment of being tested, man. And when I went for Hajj, that was our moment. Like we got tested beyond, like I can't even describe to you. Like you know, people talk about like afterwards, like the fights in the airport and stuff like that. That was like nothing. That was like nothing. Those fights always happen, right? Always.
This year was different.
I heard about it.
I'll talk about that later.
I want to hear about that actually. I heard it was chaos.
It was chaotic.
Yeah.
I've been through like the long waits in the airports and all of that, but this was like another level.
This
was
different.
Purely chaotic. Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you about my situation, and you can tell me about yours. So with Muzdalifah, like you told me, you walked from like an hour and a half. Like, mashallah, may Allah reward you for that. That's amazing. When we went. Our tour guide our tour tried to be slick, right? So they you know, if anyone doesn't know, for anybody who doesn't know, or the listeners who don't know, Mina, Muzdalifah, and Arafah are like in a triangle, kind of, or like a circle, with 3 points, right? So you're in Arafah, and you go to Muzdalifah, and then you go back around to go to Mina, right? So we're in Arafah, and our guys, we had 2 buses. They decided to go to Muzdalifah, but go to the end of Muzdalifah, right at the end. So that way, when we have to pick up and go and leave, we'll just jump on the buses. We'll be the first back to Mina, and then you know, we'll skip out on all the crowds, right? But what happened was we stopped, we got off our buses, we prayed Maghrib and Isha, right then and there. And then the security, the army came and they said, no, you have to move your buses now. Get on your buses, get your people on your buses, move it now. You can't be here.
Yeah.
So we're like, what do we do, right? So we get in the buses and we go. But at that time, like, that's when all the traffic came. Mm-hmm. So literally we had to drive like in like all this traffic. We were in the bus for, I think, between 14 and 16 hours.
Wow.
On the buses, we never got off.
Wow.
Okay, we drove inching in traffic for 14 hours.
Just to get to...
Just going through... We didn't stop. We never stopped. We never slept. Mm-hmm. I never saw the stars in Muzdalifah. I don't even know... I never even saw it. I never saw the people sleeping. We slept on the bus, right? Like if we could. Like it just edged along. It went back to Mina. Drove through Mina, back through Arafah, back around through Mina, all in like basically stopped traffic for 14 hours. Why
don't they just let you down in Mina?
They didn't. By the time we got back into Mina, like it was time for everybody. The sun was rising. It was like let's go back to let's pray al Fajr in Mina. Sorry. Yeah. So they didn't. So they went back to Mina. They went back around, did a loop, and they went back to Mina. Yeah. And we were the first bus back. Well, first of all, let's explain the chaos that was, right? There's people that were had medical issues that needed to use the washroom. That imagine the chaos, right? People were losing their minds mentally, and I did not blame them at all. Just the physical toll that it took to be able to sit in that crap seat on that bus. It was insane, and people were literally getting out just so they could go and scream or go and yell because they were so it was just crazy to be in that situation. So, but finally we got through it. And Shah, you know my brother Shah, you met him a bunch of times. Shah slept through the whole damn thing. He woke up like, oh, are we back in Muzdalifah? No, idiot, you were sleeping the whole time.
Are those people the worst? The ones who are able to sleep like that?
We were suffering in this traffic for 14 hours. You're sleeping. You're just sleeping. Whenever
I travel with someone who can just sleep on the dime, because I can't sleep on planes, for example.
Oh, okay.
When I see other people just sleep just like that, they're just out.
Yeah, I'm so
jealous. So jealous. Yeah,
but he was just done, and he just woke up through all the drama. Me and my poor mom were suffering the whole time.
Yeah, that stuff happens. But actually, so they stopped that, by the way, because they put
they have the train system now, right?
Yeah, the buses are all run by the government and runs in a circle.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
So you don't get your private buses running through.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know back then when we did that, we would tell the bus once we would park at the edge of Muzdalifah.
Yeah.
So that you could be the first ones out.
Yeah.
We tell the bus driver to leave.
Yeah.
So that when the army guy shows up and starts yelling and says, "You guys gotta go," we're like, "We don't know where the bus driver is."
Oh, that's awesome. We should have figured that out.
That's the trick around.
I wish I knew that 10 years ago.
Yeah, you gotta know all the tricks.
Oh my gosh. But it worked out in our favor because it was honestly for those who held their patience in that situation, it was awesome because we were the first bus to get into Mina.
Yeah.
Imagine an empty Mina. I performed my last rites for Hajj. With no crowd whatsoever, it was dead.
Yeah,
which was it was crazy. I did the stoning without anybody there, without any. It was crazy. It was It was like a empty amusement park. It was what it was like. I lined up for my haircut with no lineup.
Wow.
You know how that lineups are crazy in the cages and stuff.
Yeah.
They still have that.
Yeah, I think so.
With the cages and everyone's pushing each other and cramping each other. Yeah, I did that without any sort of influence whatsoever, any sort of pushing or nothing. It was great. We got it all done.
Wow.
So and then it was our bus. We got split up from our other bus. They met us there, back in Mina, and then we took them again for a second set, of finishing their. I mean, we were all done, but to get them out of their ihram and stuff. Yeah. But how was the chaos though of the airport? I have to hear it.
I can't explain it. I mean, what was crazy about it was that some of the group had left literally the day before. They said no problems. They wouldn't let them in the airport until they.
Did you stay for 2 days or 3 days? Like days of Tashriq? How many days do you do?
We did 2 days of tashriq, but then we stayed in the hotel for an extra 2 days.
Oh, okay.
So it was fine. Like people had started to leave.
Okay.
So the one group left.
I didn't know we could do that.
The night before I left, they left.
Uh-huh.
And they were fine. They didn't let them into the airport until like 5 hours before their flight.
Okay.
But, they went, everything was smooth. They left. And then another group of people left. Well, one guy left the same day as me, just later on. And he said there's no problem. And other people left the next day. They said there was no problem. So literally it was just the hours that I was there. For some reason, things got chaotic. Like, I guess they didn't have any control about who was getting into the airport, who wasn't. And things just like went insane.
Yeah.
And literally just got in there. There were no lines to even check your baggage. Like, there's just no lines. And people start pushing each other, and people were like yelling at each other, fighting each other. I put up a Facebook post about it, and a lot of people, it got a lot of shares. So a lot of people read it. And it was just insane from the perspective of like the type of fights that people were getting into. Like, see this old man with like a cane, and literally he's going to hit the other guy with his cane. And like somebody's stepping in and trying to like solve that. And then in front of me, like these guys were fighting, like these Arab guys were fighting with these guys from the UK. And then like the Arab guy says like to the UK guy, "You're speaking the language of the kuffar," because he's speaking in English. And then the UK guy like loses it completely, and he's like, "You're calling me a kafir? You're the kafir." And I was like, "Guys, you just literally finished Hajj yesterday, and now you're calling each other kuffar." Like, and it was insane. It was insane. And I was going crazy too, because like my flight was like literally, it was like half an hour left for my flight, and I hadn't even checked my baggage.
Whoa.
I was stuck in there.
What'd you end up doing? So did you end up getting
They delayed all the flights. My flight didn't end up leaving until the time it was supposed to land. That's how delayed it was.
Where's it going? Was it, you mean in Canada?
No, I was like stopover in Germany. So
isn't that like 6 hours or 8 hours to journey?
6 hours.
6 hours it took?
6
you
hours.
were delayed?
Yeah, delayed.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I guess one thing, because I was like freaking out, and I was like messaging my dad and stuff. And he's like, "Don't worry, Saudis want you guys to leave, so we're gonna make sure you guys leave. Don't worry." And it's true. They delayed everyone to make sure we all left.
At the end of the day, you say what you want about Saudis, this and that, kingdom, whatever. But man, they know how to run Hajj. They've been doing it for 14 centuries. Like, they know how to run Hajj, man. The hiccups here and there, but it's just in their blood. They know what they're doing, man. It's pedigree.
There's a lot of areas of improvement.
Yeah.
But I would say, I'll give you this: the people of Mecca, they do see it as like a personal responsibility. Yeah. And I know a lot of people in Mecca who I've met who are like, some of them are like, we don't need to work. Yeah. Like, we have enough money, we don't need to work. But we work, like, we'll find jobs, we'll even volunteer or whatever to take care of people for Hajj. Because it's like, they consider it like it's a point of pride for them. This is like our job. We're the people of Mecca. You were talking about, like, a long time ago, there wasn't hotels. Actually, people of Mecca would have, like, really in the past, if you go all the way back, they would host the people in their homes.
Yeah, that's right.
For Hajj, come stay in my house.
That's my grandfather. Yeah. He stayed in someone's house. Yeah,
so,
it didn't even exist. The concept of a hotel didn't even exist back then.
Yeah, so that idea of hospitality and taking care of the people for Hajj, that's like, for sure, for the people of Mecca specifically, that's like in their blood. Yeah. It's like, we got to take care of those people, give them free food, give them free water. And you see constantly these buses coming, giving away free meals, giving away free water to people.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially considering how hot it was, man.
Was it hot out there?
It was so hot.
Yeah?
It was like 50 degrees.
Really?
I landed in Medina.
It's August. Right?
I landed in Medina. Yeah, I landed in Medina at like 2 a.m. And I stepped outside and it was like 53 degrees.
Whoa.
Yeah, at 2 a.m. I was like, what's going to happen when it's noon? If at 2 a.m. is 53 degrees.
At 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
I lost a lot of weight because we were walking a lot. It was super hot. Sure. But unfortunately, I gained it all back.
Doesn't show.
I mean, you can't the thing is, like, you can't complain in the end of the day, right? And then, like, I was asked, you want to go again this year? I was like, yep. Even though as difficult as it was, I was like, yep, because how can you say no to that?
No, of course, man. And you're gonna go for Umrah, and you're gonna get that spiritual awakening, and you're gonna feel so good about it.
Yeah,
inshallah. You're gonna feel great. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it from you.
I mean,
want to wrap it? What do you think? Yeah, I think we're good.
Well, if we have any listeners after all this,
You
stay
know
tuned
what,
to
man?
next week.
I can't believe we talk so much about Hajj.
The Hindy Project podcast is produced by Castwork Studio.